Welcome back to Sports Hop. You already know what time it is. It's your boy Mack B back in the building. Episode 26, and I'm excited. We got a hot show for you today. We're going to talk about the WNBA and the phenom of Caitlin Clark. We're going to talk about some controversial flagrant fouls. We're going to talk about, the scope of the league and where it's headed. We're also going to do an NBA Finals preview. We got the Dallas Mavericks going off against the Boston Celtics. I'm so excited to give you my preview and my pick of that particular series. We're also going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. Shout out to the purple and gold. Still looking for a head coach, but we've got some breaking news and some exclusive things that I've been hearing from sources around the league, so we're going to touch on that as well. But first and foremost, big shout out to my man Solomon in the building as well. It's your boy Mack B, and we're going to get started with the WNBA. So everybody knows Caitlin Clark, iconic player, generational talent, coming out of Iowa, first pick in the draft by the Indiana Fever. And boy, speaking of fever, there's been a whole lot of fever going on. Now, she has basically elevated the league. I mean, the popularity already has been rising in recent years, but, with the acquisition of Caitlin Clark coming into the league, you got more TV revenue. You've got chartered flights. You've got more doors being opened for sponsorships. But part of the protocol associated with fame is there's some responsibility behind that as an athlete, but there's also a level of jealousy, resentment from other players. So my take on this whole situation in terms of the aggressive fouls and kind of the conduct directed towards her, this is a woman's sport. It's competitive. Tempers are going to get hot. Games are going to be tight. And hard fouls, has been a thing that's been around even before I've been around, right? So that's a thing that's been going on since the beginning of time. The competitive nature, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter. People want to win. They want to execute and perform at the highest level. I believe that, there has been some conduct that's been kind of detrimental. They kind of been going at her. But, she's a rookie. She's going to have some growing pains. I actually like the competitive nature of the WNBA. I like what Angel Reese is doing, and I like Kennedy being a dog, right? Now, I didn't agree with the foul. I do believe it should have been upgraded to a flagrant, which the WNBA did upon review. But at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark also talks some trash now. She gets in your face. She kind of, taunts the opposition. I've seen her kind of get people riled up. So there's two sides to every situation. But at the end of the day, the league has a responsibility to act accordingly, to protect their players, to make sure the conduct is up to par. I believe that Caitlin Clark is going to make her stamp on the WNBA. I think she's going to be probably the greatest player to ever touch a women's basketball, provided she stays healthy. But that's taking nothing away from Angel Reese and all these other great WNBA players, because they have been building this league up before Caitlin Clark's arrival. So shout out to Caitlin Clark, shout out to Angel Reese, shout out to the whole WNBA. I mean, the fan interest is phenomenal, right? So last year in 20 home games, the Indiana Fever drew a total of, I think, about 81 to 82,000. That's through 20 home games. This year, just in 2024, in 5 home games, they've already exceeded their attendance records from last year. So that's the Caitlin Clark effect. Now, she does have endorsements with Gatorade, State Farm, Nike. I'm not mad at her. You can't be mad at anybody for getting the bag. I mean, she's earned the right to make her money. If other athletes feel a certain type of way or you're in your feelings, look in the mirror. You got to step your game up. You got to, work on your shot. You got to do things to make your level of play, at least somewhat, competitive or kind of aligned with what she's doing. When it comes to the three-point shot, I think she's by far, hands down, the best in the league, and she's only going to get better. But at the end of the day, I love what Caitlin Clark has done coming to Indiana, small market team, adding a level of elevation not only to the franchise, to the city. The ratings are going sky high. If I'm not mistaken, Solomon, correct me if I'm wrong, the Fever are basically on national TV with the exception of 2 games this year. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, only 2 of the games are not being televised this year.
Right. Now, have you honestly been watching more WNBA since this whole Caitlin Clark thing, Solomon, or you kind of, are at the same level of interest that you were last year and in the previous year?
I've definitely been following it more. I've definitely been checking it. Every time you look at your feeds, you're seeing, WNBA stats and scores and stories and things like that. So I'm really happy with it. I mean, I love now that they're doing the tunnel fits and all that stuff, just like they do with the NBA. So a lot of excitement around the game. It can't do anything but help.
Right. I agree. And it's a good thing. I mean, the interest is high. Pandemonium is, at an all-time high. People are coming to the games. They're watching it on TV. The network deals are going to elevate. So it's a win-win for everybody all around. I love what she's doing. She's got a lot of room to grow. She's a phenomenal player. She's a generational talent. I love where the WNBA is going. I mean, and I had an interest that started peaking a few years back, because Kobe, rest in peace to that king, he really brought a lot of level of interest to the WNBA as well. He was doing a lot of stuff on the ladies' side before he tragically passed on, but rest in peace to that king. But shout out to the WNBA, to Caitlin Clark, to the entire league. I'm excited. I know the Fever have only won 2 games. I think they're 2-9, if I'm not mistaken, but they got a bright future. You got Boston over there with Caitlin Clark, and they got some other good complementary players. So they're going to learn a lot. It's her first year on the team. I think in the next probably 3 to 4 years, I think they'll be a playoff caliber team. But right now, they're in the basement, and it is what it is. But her bag is far from being down. Shout out to Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Moving on, we got the 2024 NBA Finals. Nobody thought coming out of the Western Conference, particularly myself, that the Dallas Mavericks would advance and be playing for the championship, the Larry O'Brien Trophy, versus the Boston Celtics. Now, the Celtics as a franchise have won 17 titles. Okay, they're tied for the most all time with the Los Angeles Lakers. And the Dallas Mavericks have won 1 championship. Ironically enough, that was when Jason Kidd, their current coach, played on the team. Now, speaking of coaches, we're going to look at Joe Mazzulla, right? I'm not a huge fan of Mazzulla. I think he's, got some room to grow as a coach, but he has done a good job getting the Celtics to the finals this year. He actually did a good job last year when they were down 3-0 to the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals and leading them back where they won 3 games and pushed a Game 7, which they got destroyed on their own home court. But nonetheless, I think Mazzulla is a good coach, but I do believe he's got some room to grow. He's got to, do some in-game adjustment strategies a little bit better. I think that the Celtics are a very good team, but it remains to be seen, can they close the deal, right? And part of closing the deal is predicated on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Okay, shout out to both of those brothers because they've been balling out. I really like Jaylen Brown's attitude and his aggressive nature in the postseason, hitting that big three-point shot in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals to force the game into overtime against the Pacers. So Jaylen Brown is a dog. Jason Tatum is also a dog. But I need to see Jason Tatum when the game's on the line, when it matters most. I need to see him facilitate, and I need to see him close the deal. I have yet to see that from him in some of the biggest games. Despite him being a great player, I'm not hating on the brother. He definitely is a great player, but I think he has room to grow as well. And I want to see him finish, because it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Speaking of finishing, I love what Derek White has been doing for the Celtics. You got Drew Holiday as well. Defensively, they're going to be key factors in this series, right? Because I believe the Mavs have the best backcourt in the league when healthy, when they're on their game. It's hard to stop Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, right? Because those boys can ball. They definitely have stepped up their level of play, particularly in the postseason. So Kristaps Porzingis for the Celtics, that's also a wild card. Is he going to play? The answer is yes. Will he be at 100%? In my opinion, the answer is no. He had a strained calf injury, so he missed like the last 5 weeks of the postseason because he got injured in the first round when they were playing the Miami Heat. But nonetheless, he's 7'3" tall. His length around the basket, he is a rim protector, But offensively, the Celtics need his contributions on the offensive end of the court, particularly in the pick and roll. We'll see how that plays out. I honestly believe that if Porzingis can stay healthy and make a contribution, grab 10 rebounds a game, maybe score 10 to 15 points, I think Boston has the best chance of anybody to knock off the Dallas Mavericks and win the championship. But let's go the other way. If Porzingis is not healthy, if he's not performing at a high level because he's missed so much time, I'm sure his stamina and his win has been compromised. So if he can't get focused and he can't play up to his level of capability, I believe the Celtics are going home. So let's shift and talk about the Dallas Mavericks. So when it comes to coaching, Jason Kidd, former New Jersey Net, former Dallas Maverick, like I said previously, he won a title with the Mavs a few years back. He's a phenomenal coach. He's a player's coach. He knows how to do in-game adjustments on the fly. I love what he's been doing. I also love what the GM, Nico Harrison's been doing in terms of doing those trades mid-season and bringing in P.J. Walker from Charlotte and bringing in Gafford from Washington. Those two guys are great rim protectors. They can rebound. They can go up and grab the ball on the lob, as well as Derek Lively. So when it comes to the inside, they not only have rim protection, they got some guys that can jump out of the gym, that can rebound, that can protect the paint. I love those trades that Dallas facilitated mid-season because nobody really thought, even after those trades, right? Nobody really thought the Mavs had a chance to go through the West. Everybody was riding Denver. I certainly thought Denver would be there, but that's another story for another day. Shout out to the Dallas Mavericks with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic in that backcourt. They have been balling out of control. Luka can control the pace of the game. I wasn't always a fan of his kind of lethargic movements and stuff coming down the court, but that is who he is, right? So I can't hate on him because numbers don't lie. And he's the first player in NBA history to lead the postseason in like 6 to 8 different categories, including scoring, assists, three-point shooting, free throws, all of these things that he's been doing. He's a generational talent. If they can secure this trophy and win the title, and Luka plays up to his level, he will be definitely top 3 in my book in terms of current NBA players, you know, in terms of the top 3 in the greatest that are currently playing at a high level. So shout out to Luka, shout out to Kyrie Irving, P.J. Washington, Lively, Gafford. The Mavs are loaded, and they also have contributions coming off the bench. So when it comes to coaching, when it comes to the backcourt, I think the Mavericks have the edge. I do want to let everybody know you can't sleep on Boston either because they have the potential to win the series. But who do I trust more late in the game with the game on the line? You give the ball to Kyrie Irving, you give the ball to Luka Doncic, or you got Jason Tatum, or you got Jaylen Brown. Who do I trust more? I got to roll with those boys in Dallas, okay? Because whether it's Luka or it's Kyrie, I trust them more in tight game situations, particularly in the last 4 to 5 minutes of the fourth quarter with the game on the line. I would put my money all day long on that backcourt because I think it's the best in the league. So the odds for the NBA Finals that came out recently, you got the Mavs at a plus 185, right? Which means nobody's really giving them a chance to win this. But that's how it's been all postseason. Nobody thought they'd get through the Clippers. People questioned them with Oklahoma City and the Thunder. And then people thought the Minnesota Timberwolves were going to beat them in advance, but that didn't happen. So we got the Dallas Mavericks at plus 185 on the betting line, and the Boston Celtics are a minus 225. So they're heavily favored to win the championship. This is the first time in 12 years that a team from the Eastern Conference is favored to win it all. The last team that was favored at that time in 2013, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was the Miami Heat. So, piece of history on the line. The Mavs are trying to capture their second trophy. The Boston Celtics are trying to basically break the tie between them and the Los Angeles Lakers and capture their 18th trophy. When it's all said and done, I'm riding with the Dallas Mavericks. I think they're going to win the title. I think they win this series in 6 games. I think they're going to steal a couple of games on the road, They've been phenomenal on the road this postseason. The Celtics can be vulnerable, particularly at home. We've all seen that in previous playoff games. So my prediction, Mavs win it in 6. And congratulations to y'all. I'm going to give it to you early because that's what I believe is going to happen. Now, with that being said, I got to tap in with my man Solomon. What are your thoughts on the NBA Finals and what I'm telling in terms of prediction?
Well, I understand your reasoning, but I'm sort of looking at the last few years. Boston has consistently been knocking at the door. You can't help but think that every year they go through this, they learn something new. They're able to stretch a little bit more. Despite their coaching changes, they've been able to maintain a high level of consistency, and they continue to bring in the right pieces that complement rather than reset their game. So I actually think it's their year, and I'm going to go the opposite of you. I'm going to say Boston in 6.
Okay. I'm not mad at it. That's the beauty of sports. Everybody's got a different perspective and a different opinion. I certainly respect it, man. Would I be surprised if Boston wins the championship? No.
Yeah, not at all.
But I will not be surprised at all if the Mavs pull off the upset because that's who I've been rolling with. Once they got into that third round and they knocked off the Thunder, I really thought the Mavs were going to go all the way. So we shall see. Game 1 starts tomorrow. So I'm really excited. It should be a great series. Let's pivot and move on, and we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. Currently, through my sources and around the league, they're still searching for a coach, right? I'm hearing that J.J. Redick, current analyst and former Clipper and former NBA player, is in the running to be the next coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. My take on J.J. Redick, he's got a great basketball mind. He knows the game just as well as anybody. From a coaching standpoint, I think he was coaching a high school team, if I'm not mistaken, last year. But he doesn't have any major coaching experience on the NBA level, of course. He is well respected around the league as a player. My biggest question, Solomon, is can he garner the respect in the locker room from players that are either almost as old as him and in some cases older than him? Can he, earn that respect and relate to these current players in the NBA? I don't know. That remains to be seen, but what are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting. I feel like the Lakers maybe know something we don't know. I mean,
okay.
I learned today that he had actually applied for a few other coaching jobs in 2023. And so he definitely does have an interest in coaching. So that being said, I imagine LeBron has something to do with it because, my personal feeling on the Lakers is you need to get someone who's established, someone who's got a pedigree, or someone who, can garner that respect. I know you love Darvin Ham. I sort of felt like sometimes he didn't have that, I don't know, the gravitas or whatever to, for people to respect him as a head coach. I felt like he was a player's coach, but sometimes you need that next level. You need that guy where people look up to and just don't question, especially when it ggets, down to crunch time. I don't know that J.J. Redick is the guy for that. I'd prefer if they went with a more established coach, to be honest. But if they feel like he's the guy, maybe they see something we don't see. It's just personally, it wouldn't be my first choice. Put it that way.
Well, speaking of choices, rumor has it that LeBron not only wants J.J. Redick to be in that coach's seat, but he also wants the Lakers to draft his son Bronny. So he wants the Lakers to bring Bronny to L.A. via the draft, and he also wants J.J. Redick to be at the helm as the next coach. We shall see how it plays out. LeBron definitely has a lot of leverage. He's obviously top 5 in my book as being one of the greatest players to ever play basketball. But he's not only a basketball savant, he's also a businessman. And so he knows what to do in terms of facilitating and making moves from an organizational standpoint. So we'll see what happens and how it plays out. But back to Darvin Ham, right? I liked Darvin Ham. I genuinely thought that he was a good coach. His coaching record with the Lakers in 2 seasons, he had 90 wins and 74 losses. His winning percentage was almost 55%. I mean, in year 1, he came from Milwaukee as an assistant coach, and he led the Lakers to the Western Conference Finals in his first year. And who did they end up playing despite getting swept? The world champion Denver Nuggets. Every game in that Western Conference Finals series last year in 2023 was close.
Yeah.
It was competitive. The Lakers were right there. They just couldn't close the deal at the end. So with that being said, year one leads the Lakers to the Western Conference Finals. Year two, they get an unfortunate matchup in round one. They got to go back and play Denver again. Now, they did win one game. It was a gentleman's sweep, right? The Lakers lost that series 4-1, but same thing. The Lakers were in every game, including Game 5, in which they got eliminated. Jamal Murray beat the Lakers twice in the closing seconds, okay? If he doesn't hit those shots, who knows what happens in terms of how does that series turn out. But Darvin Ham in 2 seasons, 55% winning percentage, Western Conference Finals in year one. I mean, I just think these teams, particularly Jeannie Buss and the Lakers organization, you got to have a level of patience, man. You can't just bring in a new hire every 1 to 2 years like a revolving door and think, okay, this guy wasn't our guy. I mean, they did Frank Vogel wrong. They did Darvin Ham wrong. I do think, though, if they bring in J.J. Redick, they're going to give him more of a guaranteed tenure because LeBron ain't having it. If LeBron is pitching J.J. Redick, please believe J.J. Redick, despite what the Lakers' record may be in the first couple seasons, I don't believe he's going to be on the hot seat. I believe he's going to have a much more favorable deal, particularly because of the relationship he has with LeBron James and his reputation around the league. But back to Darvin Ham, this brother can coach, man. I honestly believe he can make a great contribution to another team in the NBA. I think he deserves another opportunity. I think the Lakers dropped the ball literally because I think he can coach, and I think he is a player's coach. And I think you got to give a man more than 2 years, particularly in a big market like LA, more of a chance to shine, more of a chance to develop and grow this team. I thought he did phenomenal, particularly under the circumstances. Look at all the injuries they had, Solomon. Vanderbilt didn't play half the year. They had a bunch of players out. Anthony Davis was in and out of the lineup.
Christian Wood.
You know, you had a lot of stuff going on. So
Gabe Vincent, too.
Yeah, Gabe Vincent didn't play. So he dealt with a lot of things, and despite that, they made the playoffs both years, Western Conference Finals in year one. I think the Lakers and some of these other teams, not just in the NBA, professional sports, period. Sometimes you got to pump the brakes. You got to take a deep breath, like my man Aaron Rodgers would say, breathe easy now, and just evaluate the situation because coaches are paid to basically facilitate strategy, in-game adjustments, help develop players, but they're not on the court shooting the ball. They're not on the court defending. They're not on the court when the turnovers are happening. So these players need to be held accountable. You can't just basically put all the blame on a coach all the time. And I know that everybody knows there is a level of scrutiny associated with being a coach on any level. But I just believe Darvin Ham didn't get a fair shot with the Lakers. I think they made a big mistake. I'm not going to be mad at LA if they do bring on J.J. Redick, part of LeBron's recommendation. But it remains to be seen how that will turn out, how that all will unfold. I think he can coach, and I think he will be successful, but I don't think it's going to happen right away. So if they're looking like at a 2 to 3 year plan, I don't think it's going to happen that quick. What are your thoughts in terms of time frame?
Well, they want it to happen that quick. I mean,
I understand because LeBron is towards the finish line.
Absolutely. So they want it to happen that quick. I believe they sort of think, J.J. Redick could be like the next Pat Riley.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like. I think they thought Darvin Ham just really wasn't marketable for a market like LA. They wanted somebody with a little more flash, a little more style, someone that they could sort of build a story around. And I think J.J. Redick may fit that mold for them. At the same time, I think they look at it and go, our team's not that bad. We're not that far off. Even if we sort of ran it back and we had healthy players, we can go at this again. So, I think that's what they're looking at, just somebody with a little bit more flash, somebody who fits more of the LA motif because, like you said, the fans here are obviously very, very impatient. They want to win now, win always, and they expect to compete for a championship every single year. And let's be real, if Darvin Ham had gone to, Charlotte or any other team in the league, he'd still be serving, his 4-year or his 5-year deal.
I concur. And at the end of the day, best of luck to Darvin Ham. Shout out to the Lakers. I'm still a purple and gold maniac now. We're still waiting on more championships. But I just think from an organizational standpoint, the Lakers, have a lot to learn as well. I think they've made some mistakes and dropped the ball on some key situations. But you already know what time it is. That's my thoughts on the Lakers coaching search. The Dallas Mavericks are going to hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy in a couple of weeks. Just wait and see. Shout out to Caitlin Clark and the whole WNBA. I love the direction of the league. Shout out to all the ladies out there balling. You're watching Sports Hop with your boy Mack B. Don't forget to tap in and follow me on the gram at Mack B, MACKB as in boy, _, at Sports Hop Media. Don't you go nowhere. Keep it locked. Thanks for watching Sports Hop. Subscribe here for all the latest news on hip hop and sports. It's your boy Mack B.